You ever see a startup with a brilliant idea, passionate founders, and then it just fails? It happens all the time. And the reason why is usually simpler and honestly way more painful than you'd think. So today we're going to dive into The Lean Startup by Eric Ries. This thing is basically a revolutionary playbook for building businesses that people actually want. It's all about working smarter, not just harder. Okay, so to really get to the solution, we've got to look the problem right in the eye. The whole idea of the lean startup, it really comes from this one single critical observation about why so many new companies just don't make it. And trust me, it's a truth that can save you years of wasted effort.
I mean, really stop and think about it for a second. Why do they fail? It's not usually because the founders are lazy, right? And it's not always because they run out of cash, though that happens. No, the real reason, it's often something way more fundamental, and yeah, a lot more painful.
And there it is. That's the brutal, honest truth that Eric Ries really zeroed in on. Think about it. All that time, all that effort, all that passion poured into building the perfect product for a customer that just doesn't exist. It's the ultimate soul-crushing waste. So, this is the course shift in thinking. The solution isn't about throwing more hours at the problem or cramming in more features. No, it's about completely transforming your startup. You stop being a product-building machine and become a learning machine instead. A machine that's totally obsessed with one single question. What do people actually want? The whole game is to find that answer before you run out of time and money.
All right, so how do you actually do that? How do you become a learning machine and learn faster? Well, it all boils down to this really simple but incredibly powerful process. It's like the engine that makes the whole thing run.
Okay, first things first, we've got to completely redefine what a startup even is. It's not just a mini version of a big company, not at all. A startup is an organization that's specifically designed to navigate extreme uncertainty. Its number one goal isn't to execute some flawless pre-written business plan. Its goal is to run experiments to figure out what the right plan even is in the first place. And this is the heartbeat of the whole thing. It's called the build, measure, learn, feedback loop. Here's how it works. 1. You build the smallest, simplest thing you possibly can to test your biggest idea. 2. You measure how real customers respond. Not what they say they'll do, but what they actually do. And 3. You learn from that real-world data. The whole point of this loop is to be fast, cheap, and just relentless.
Now, to make this loop work, you really need two critical tools in your tool belt. And these are probably the two most famous ideas from the entire book, and for a really good reason. We're talking about the minimum viable product, or MVP, and the pivot.
So, what exactly is an MVP? Let's be clear, it is not a crappy, buggy, half-finished product. It's a strategy. It's about figuring out your most important guess, your big what if, and then building the absolute bare minimum you need to test if that guess is right. The goal here isn't perfection. The goal is proof.
The classic example here is Dropbox. I love this story. Before they wrote a single line of code for their super complex file syncing tech, you know what they did? They made a simple little demo video showing how it was going to work. That video went totally viral, their waiting list just exploded with signups, and boom, they proved with almost zero engineering effort that people desperately wanted what they were building. That video, that was their MVP.
Okay, but what if the data comes back and it's not good? This is the real moment of truth, right? You run your experiment, you look at the numbers, and yikes, people aren't using that killer feature you built, or maybe they just don't get the point. So what do you do now? Do you just give up?
No, this is where the pivot comes in. And a pivot is not failure. It's not admitting defeat. It's a smart strategic course correction based on what you've just learned. I mean, look at Instagram. It started out as a check-in app called Bourbon, with all kinds of features. But the founders noticed something interesting. Users were ignoring almost everything except for the photo filters. So they pivoted. They made a huge bet, stripped everything else away, and just focused on the photos. And, well, the rest is history.
Okay, so we're building, we're measuring, we're learning. Awesome, but how do you know if you're actually getting anywhere? How do you measure real progress? This is where you have to get really smart about your metrics. It's all about separating the signal from the noise.
And Ries draws a really sharp line in the sand here. On one side, you've got what he calls vanity metrics. You know the ones, total downloads, page views, how many likes you got. They feel good, they look great on a slide deck, but they tell you absolutely nothing about whether your business is actually healthy. But on the other side, you have validated learning. This is the good stuff. This is hard data that proves your customers are changing their behavior because of something you built. That is real progress. So to track this kind of real learning, Ries has this framework he calls innovation accounting. It's basically a 3-step plan for when you're too early to have big revenue numbers. Step 1, you establish a baseline. Get real data to see exactly where you are right now. Step 2, you tune the engine. You run experiments specifically designed to improve those baseline numbers. And then step 3, you decide. Look at the results and make the call. Do we pivot or do we persevere? It's a roadmap for making data-driven decisions when everything feels uncertain.
So, as you can probably tell by now, this is so much more than just a set of tactics. It's a completely different philosophy. It's a fundamental shift in how you think about work, about what's considered waste, and about how businesses actually grow.
And this idea right here, which comes straight from Toyota's lean manufacturing system, is basically the North Star for the whole methodology. You should question everything you do, every feature, every line of code, every single meeting, with this one question. Is this creating value for the customer? Or is it helping us learn what creates value? If the answer to both of those is no, then it's waste, period.
Ries also lays out 3 different engines of growth. Basically, the main ways a startup can grow sustainably. First, there's the sticky engine. This is all about retention, making a product so good that customers stick around. Then you've got the viral engine, where the product is designed so that users naturally spread it to other users. And finally, the paid engine. This is straightforward. You pay for ads, and you make sure you get more money back from those customers than you spent. The key is a successful startup knows which engine it's trying to build and focuses all its energy on tuning that one engine.
Hey, look, don't for a second think this is just for a couple of people working out of a garage. Huge, massive companies, we're talking giants like GE and Intuit, they use these exact same principles to innovate. They create these little internal startups to test out new ideas, so they can move fast without getting bogged down by all the corporate red tape. It's a way to innovate no matter how big you are.
And really, this quote just sums the whole thing up perfectly. In today's world, the real advantage isn't about having the best idea on day one, it's about having the best process for discovering what the right idea is. The speed at which you can learn, that is the new unfair advantage.
So at the end of the day, the Lean Startup isn't just another business book. It's really a scientific method for turning ideas into real-world impact. It basically gives you permission to be wrong, as long as you're structured about learning from it, and you learn fast. So the only real question left is, armed with this knowledge, what's the first thing you're going to test?